On today's episode, we're going to find out if a 153,000-mile EcoBoost is going to turn up or blow up. Not going to lie, I'm a little nervous. This is my daily driver, and if I blow this up, I still have to make it to work. But there's only one way to truly test if this is worth it. Most people hear 153,000 miles on an EcoBoost and they think should be slowing down. Today, instead, I'm going to be turning up the boost. We're heading to Dyno Edge in Albuquerque, New Mexico, ultimately to see what more power tuning or MPT loaded on this SCT BDX programmer. What will it do to a mostly stock F-150 EcoBoost with 153,000 miles on it? To keep this test fair, there are only a few supporting modifications. One being AMSOIL Signature Series Oil 5W30. We have NGK 1 degree cooler spark plugs, and we have Dragon Performance coils. That's it. We're here at Dyno Edge. We're gonna do 3 pulls. The first one's gonna be stock baseline, everything that came from the factory from Ford. The second one we're going to do is a 91 octane MPT tune. That is the daily tow version. We're gonna compare the two. Then the third one is gonna be the 91 octane MPT, their PRX, or their Performance Race Extreme tune. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna see how much performance was gained, both horsepower and torque, from the baseline, and show you if 153,000 mile EcoBoost with an MPT tune is worth it.
We're gonna do our pulls in 5th gear every time. We'll see how it goes. Alright, this is the stock pile. Looking like we made 388. One for a back-to-back. That way we get a good baseline. Fifth gear, 2500, start the pull. Gonna make another one for a back-to-back. That way we get a good baseline. Fifth gear. 2500, start the pull. .346 on the baseline. 459 foot-pounds of torque. We're gonna make one more. Like the median's about 366, 370 is about what this thing makes stock.
The advertisement is 375 at the crank, bro.
That's pretty good. For stock, that's pretty good.
I haven't lost much in 153,000 miles.
It's very consistent power.
Alright, now you want to load your...
Okay. There should be 2 at the very bottom. One's that daily tow.
Okay.
We'll do that one next, and then we'll go to the PRX.
Okay, so tow next, and then the
Tow's next.
PRX. Okay. Very good.
It takes a while.
while for these to load files.
Yeah,
Oh,
it does.
really?
What brand is that?
SCT for the tuner. SCT. The tunes came from MPT, more power tuning out of Florida.
MBT's good. I've heard good things about them.
Get the tuner again. I'd probably get their live version because I like to see the numbers live. This one's not really for permanent installation, so once we're done with this, it'll probably go right to the center console for a while.
Which tune are you
Yes.
So the last stock tune was 295.
295
With-
here. Corrected. Yes,
Corrected.
Corrected.
What do you think this tune's gonna do?
I
Just
think
so we
the-
got a guess.
The toe tune, are you wanting the corrected number or uncorrected number?
Corrected.
Corrected, I'm thinking over 400.
Over
Okay.
400?
I think it's going to be
All right.
over 400.
Let's see.
All right, this is the toe tune. That started. Here we go. $441. Dang, that's pretty good power. That's really good. That was 17 pounds of boost. There's a lot to be found in these tune-ups.
Alright, this is the toe tune. That started. Here we go.
Let me make one more. All right, I want you guys to keep an eye on this boost right here. Here we go. $434. That is a lot of power picked up from stock. That is really nice.
Alright, I want you guys to keep an eye on this boost right here. Here we go. $434.
All right, so 295
That is a lot of power picked up from stock.
We just
That is
loaded
really nice.
the daily toe tune, and we're looking at 434 horsepower.
All right, now we are going to load the next tune. Very simple. What we're gonna do is turn this key on.
Correct.
Program vehicle.
This next one is what they call their performance racing tune, 191 octane.
We're gonna go to the performance race tune right here. So that was just the toe tune. We're going to the performance race tune now. I'm gonna approve that, and it'll start loading.
So we just made 440 horsepower on the last tune. Now we're going to the MPT Performance Race Extreme tune. What do you think it's going to create? Really close to 500. We'll find out.
If I had expected to make much more, but we'll have to see. I think if it hits 450 here corrected, we'd be in good shape. So let's see, here we go. Make sure traction control is off, and it is off. And you're gonna want to keep an eye on right here. There we go.
Alright, here we go. Data log is started. This is with the race file. I don't know if I had expected to make much more, but we'll have to see. I think if it hits 450 here corrected, we'd be in good shape. So let's see, here we go. Make sure Your traction is off. And it is off. And you're gonna want to keep an eye on right here. A 443, but it made a lot more power through the curve, through the whole curve. Let's try one more and see. Looks like we made about 18 pounds of boost. That's a lot. Let's see if we can make one more. The shifts are definitely a lot firmer on this power. Here we go. Definitely a lot more throttle response as well. Definitely not wanting to rev up there. I bet you it's rattling the knock sensor. That would be my guess. They're really close. They're really close. What fuel's in this thing?
What's that?
What fuel's in it? 91?
91 octane from Shell.
Yeah. It could be. It's making about 2 more pounds of boost.
Do you have any octane booster here?
It could be that it's rattling the knock sensor and it's pulling timing. That's why it's not making as much.
Okay.
But the shifts and everything are a lot firmer on this file. The only thing is, I think you could probably pick up some power with some octane booster, and that would bring the octane of the fuel up, and it would actually keep the timing in it. Because you can see it actually makes more at the top of the curve, but as it revs up, it starts to go down.
Yeah.
I can almost feel it rattling the knock sensor. I mean, we can put it in and see if it picks up. I probably would. I'd probably put a thing of octane booster in it and see if it picks up. Alright, let's do this again. See if it'll keep some timing in it this time. I can hear it. I can hear it. I don't want to break it.
You know, I didn't really know what to expect from this, from More Power Tuning's tune on the dyno here at Dyno Tune. I drove this truck from Florida to New Mexico, towing a 1942 Packard that's not light, ginormous trailer. I take my kids camping. We drive back roads, dirt roads with the rooftop tent. We've done a lot of stuff. I mean, the truck itself has 153,000 miles on it, on its stock 3.5 liter EcoBoost. But this truck, on just a tune alone, made over 440 wheel horsepower. And I'm going to emphasize that because from the factory, the 3.5 liter Gen 2 EcoBoost engine made 369 horsepower at the crank. Now, there's some drivetrain loss that happens. Uncorrected, first pull, no tune, from the factory, this truck produced 294-ish horsepower. With the drivetrain loss from 369, that's not huge. That's not a huge loss. What that really means is that my truck at 153,000 miles is incredibly healthy. And that's no small feat. Like the engine itself, whether that be maintenance, whether that's just how it was taken care of, all of those pieces, all of that, to say that 153,000 miles on a 2018 3.5 liter EcoBoost, MPT was able to increase the stock horsepower on a tune alone to over 70 wheel horsepower difference on 91 octane. That's pretty incredible. That is no small feat at all. And I have to give a huge shout out to More Power Tuning. Like, the work that they did is incredible. The work that the guys over there at Dyno Edge did just to make sure that this truck was set up and getting fair and even pulls to talk through corrected and uncorrected numbers, I'm telling you, I'm pretty impressed. Overall, $800 for the SCT BDX programmer, part number 40490, I believe. And for 2 tunes from MPT, the Daily Tow and the 91 PRX, the Performance Race Extreme tune, $800 raised me 70 horsepower. Basically, $100 a horsepower. That's pretty incredible in my opinion. I'm driving this thing and it's shifting so much better. Like, I can't tell you the amount of click, click, click from the upshifts, downshifts on the factory tune on the 10R80 transmission compared to this tune. Night and day difference. This is pretty awesome. Speaking of engine health, that on the graph, the torque curve is smooth. Everything, no major no breakups, no major issues. Everything was just solid, healthy, which creates a problem because now I want to test intercoolers, cold air intakes, maybe even, one day a turbo upgrade. And I want to see what's real, what produces real numbers, even if it's 1 horsepower. On a healthy engine that has seemed to accept the tune extremely well, against what is internet hype. I think I'm going to test it. I think we're going to have a couple more dyno sessions. Dyno Edge, you ready for me? So let's recap. That daily tow is ridiculous. It's impressive. It is something that you can actually feel and drive with on a daily basis. And the power gain is astronomical. 440 horsepower from 296 horsepower. Pretty impressive. We're going to start talking uncorrected numbers. And I'm trying to keep this level because uncorrected numbers are different than the corrected numbers because we're at 5,300 feet here in Albuquerque. So the uncorrected numbers on the stock tune of the vehicle from Ford's factory were 298 horsepower. On the tune, on the daily tow tune, we jumped up to 355 horsepower uncorrected. Now, that only sounds like an easy, 57, let's just round up and say 60 horsepower. And 60 horsepower isn't bad on a tune alone, especially on 91 octane. On a tune that you can definitely drive every single day. The shifting's a ton, significantly better. The horsepower is definitely better. The turbo kicks in sooner for peak boost. The tune itself makes this truck feel so much more alive. Definitely feel it driving from the stock tune going to Dyno Edge and the daily tow tune from MPT leaving. All of that said, it's almost addictive. Like, it is amazing. But then you throw in the performance race extreme tune, 191 octane. And I do have to reach back out to MPT and see, because we did run into a few issues, right? So the first pull, it wasn't liking the full spin up, and whether that was pre-detonation, cylinder pressure, or just not perfect fuel. We dropped 2 bottles of Lucas octane booster into the gas tank, let it run for about 10 minutes before we did our next pull. And it did a little bit better. We jumped up like 3 horsepower, but we were still getting that like pre-detonation or cylinder pressure, or the octane booster wasn't enough for my 36-gallon tank that I filled up to the brim on my way to dyno. I have to figure that one out, because the performance race tune, the boost kicked in way earlier than the daily and the tow tune. Significantly better than the stock tune. But something wasn't happy with the race tune. So we really thought, there were 5 people at Dyno Edge, we really thought that we were going to see about 500 horsepower on the performance one, with the gains that we saw going from the stock tune to the daily tune. Well, we're going to look into that a little bit more. I'm going to send MPT all of the information. Maybe they'll make a few tweaks, and I'll go back to Dyno Edge, and we're going to see those numbers. But for now, I'm pretty happy sitting and driving on the daily tow tune, seeing that gain from 298 to 355. I think we've officially started something. And remember, these numbers are at 5,300 feet. Maybe the best builds aren't the ones chasing big numbers. Maybe they're the ones that still have stories to tell.